is crazy. It's too small.
Ben, can you work on that?
Yeah. Make it happen soon.
We are going to call tonight's meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Novi Board of Education regular meeting. Tonight is March 20th. I would like to invite a few guests that we have here tonight to help us with the Pledge of Allegiance. It was discussed and recommended amongst the board that we give student voice to our kiddos and make sure that they are part of our meeting. So if our special guest can come up front, that would be great. Hi guys, you can come right up here in front of us. And then before we do the Pledge of Allegiance, I'm going to have each of you introduce yourselves and tell us what grade you're in.
My name is Talia. My name is Felix, and we're all on
Well, welcome tonight.
What school are you
Okay, so we are going to all please rise so that the kids can lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
leaders here in acting responsibly, respecting others, and ensuring safety.
That was great, thank
Thank you so much to our student leaders. And we will now get an approval for our tonight's agenda. Mr. Cook?
I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
Recommended by Mr. Cook and supported by Mr. Mena. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. We are going to start with the student board representative report. Welcome, Cameron.
Hi, thank you, Mrs. Ruskin. It's good to see you all. I see a lot of familiar faces out in the crowd. Good to see you all as well. But yeah, so I'm Cameron, and I'll be doing our student board report. So I wanted to start off by talking about Awkward Pause. We've had, I believe, 2 shows in the last month at Novi High School, and those have been a wonder. I love seeing the theater kids put that together, and it's nice. Oh, yeah, nobody saw it.
Until you called attention to it.
Thanks, Cameron.
And it's nice to see like our students being able to create that and then present it to us students, and that's just an amazing wonder to see. And then I also want to touch on, we have our spring season has began. A lot of track kids, a lot of track kids, and the biggest team we've had since I've been in high school, which is only 3 years, but a little bit. And so, yeah, we've had track and field, and then girls lacrosse, girls soccer, boys lacrosse, girls softball, and boys baseball, name a few. I know there's like 2 or 3 more, I believe. I'm sorry, I should have added that. And then, but yeah, so spring sports have all started. People are very happy because it's spring sports. It's spring. Weather was nicer before today. And then spring break is also coming up, which has been huge for everyone. Which, especially as a senior, that's like our last spring break. So that's like really exciting. And then we also have, as far as events go, we have a student council GlowCo event tomorrow night, and so it's kind of like a homecoming, but you kind of come with neon colors, and you get to go dance, get some food with your friends, and just have a great night. And so yeah, it's been a very, very peaceful last month, and I'm really happy to be here.
Thank you, Cameron. We're always happy to have you here and to hear what you have to report.
Thank you.
We appreciate you. Okay, we are going to move on to our next report to the board, Wildcat Launch Report, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Micah.
Thank you so much. One of the things that we want to try and do is, as this board makes decisions on new programs, is to bring those programs back for you to be able to get an update on how those decisions have gone, how those programs have happened. Sometimes they're going to be amazing, and sometimes it'll be great, but we've got some tweaks to make, and sometimes we're going to want to change course. But in this particular case, it's been really a pleasure to see us be able to offer to our community a program that allows something to be able to give our kindergarten students that experience for that extra year. And so very excited to share that with you tonight, and so I'll let Mr. Jeremini introduce our guests.
Well, as Mr. Meinke said, we're very excited to talk to you about these updates to the program, how it's going, share some information about what we've learned and what we kind of see for the future. This has been an effort to make our kindergarten programming more comprehensive in Novi, and the folks who have helped lead this work have just done a tremendous job. I'm actually going to hand it over to Mrs. Bidlack, our Director of Elementary Education, to introduce our teachers who will give us that presentation.
Thank you. One of the greatest joys I have had in my first few months here is getting to know and visit the kindergarten launch program. We have several of the teachers with us tonight, and they are going to share with you some of the specifics. But just to say hello to all 4 of them, I'd like to introduce Allie Gowacki. She is at Parkview. You can come up because you're going to speak, sure. Heather Stewart, who's at Deerfield. And then we also have Barb Zimmerman, who is here with us, and Liz Allerton, and they are both at Village Oaks joining us this evening. So Allie and Heather are going to share a little bit about the program, and then I'll come on back up to do a little recognition for them. So thank you for joining us. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having us. On behalf of myself and the Wildcat Launch Kindergarten team, I would like to express our heartfelt gratitude for the recognition and honor you've given our team. We are incredibly proud of what we've accomplished together, and your recognition reaffirms that the hard work and dedication of our team does not go unnoticed. Thank you for your continued support of us and of Novi's youngest learners. Students in Wildcat Launch Kindergarten are provided a unique kindergarten experience that focuses on their specific social-emotional needs as young learners. Not only do our students benefit from this program, but kindergarten students do as well. There is a smaller age range in Wildcat Launch Kindergarten with just the 3-month gap or 3-month section, and then that also impacts kindergarten by eliminating the smallest or the youngest learners from that group, shrinking their age gap as well. Kindergarten teachers have noticed a difference in their learning of their students. Wildcat Launch kindergarten students are exposed to kindergarten standards with the goal of exploration and growth. In kindergarten, they will be expected to master these standards. There are less kindergarten students needing math and literacy support. Most importantly, we have the gift of time to allow these students to mature and develop while also introducing them to the school community and academics. So here are some of our littles. In literacy, students have explored a variety of literacy topics to expand their background knowledge, with a specific focus on school, patterns in books, and the seasons. They have demonstrated their learning through engaging in thoughtful discussions, creating and labeling pictures, and making crafts. Additionally, they have enjoyed a range of hands-on activities that help them practice letter recognition and foundational literacy skills that will help them thrive. In math, students have strengthened their understanding of numbers 0 through 10, basic addition and subtraction, and shapes. They enjoy practicing these skills through hands-on activities using a wide variety of materials.
Dramatic play seems to be the most favorite for all of our students. Every few weeks we change themes. We have had themes that connect to our literacy units, different seasons, and the career paths that they could follow in the future. Some students' favorites have included the birthday party, when everybody finally turned 5, fire stations, and post office. Fine motor is woven throughout our entire day. Students have worked to build their fine motor skills each and every day. Fine motor is easy, yet important to incorporate into every subject area to make learning more fun and engaging. Social and emotional learning. At this early stage, we focus on helping students recognize and manage emotions, develop empathy, and build healthy relationships. Through check-ins, role-playing, and collaborative activities, we teach children to express their feelings, resolve conflicts, and understand others' perspectives. By nurturing their emotional skills, we create a foundation for academic success and personal growth. And we want to thank you again for your support and continue looking forward to building this curriculum and this program in Novi. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. So to recognize and honor their legacy work in this first year of the program, to start and support and grow this incredible program and meet the needs of the specific learners that you serve, we have a small token of appreciation for you. We've selected to share with the teachers a book, but not just any book. This book is titled, What Do You Do with an Idea? The Kindergarten Launch Program was and is a beautiful idea. And our teachers have taken that idea, and we know what they have done with it. They have excelled. They have dug in. They have created a beautiful space for students. They are thriving, and they will continue to do so. So thank you for your efforts. Please accept these books as a token of our appreciation and recognition for your efforts. You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you to our educators and to Laura as their leader. Does any of the board members have any questions or comments? Mr. Mishner?
Yeah, I was just wondering, how many sections of Wildcat Launch did we have this year?
We had 6 sections.
Are they distributed evenly throughout our elementaries?
We had 2 at Village Oaks and 1 at every other building.
Okay.
So, but yeah, if you have other questions, Laura.
Oh, there's other questions. Any other questions?
Mr. Cook?
Yeah, you know, the board's so happy that you took this idea and ran with it. What more can the board do for you to help these young learners and to help them excel and to be up to 10 right in the first grade?
I mean, honestly, since this is our first year within the program, we ourselves are learning so much as we continue to teach this every single day. And I know we will continue to learn so much. And just your continued support would be greatly appreciated. And as we come up with new ideas to help make this program the best program it can be for our youngest kindergarten students, your continued support would just mean the world to us.
I think we've been really lucky, though. When we've needed
Yeah.
something, somebody's gotten it for us.
Yes.
So that has been really fabulous because we didn't know what we needed in September. And now as things have rolled through, we've yelled and hollered and we've gotten it. So we thank you for all that support, too.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
At least that's one group that's not asking for more money.
They didn't know that was an option.
Yeah. If you're offering, then.
Mrs. Bodine?
Could you speak to how what students are learning in Launch differs from what they would learn in the kindergarten program?
So it's the same kindergarten standards that we are using. It's more of an exposure to those standards rather than mastery. So we do the same skills, the same shapes, decomposing shapes. We do numbers, letters, sounds, beginning reading skills. It is all the same standards. It's just at that exposure level versus having to master it. We really do like our new reading program, the RGR, really great reading, phonics and phonemic awareness program is amazing. So we do love that one.
Yes. We've also been using iReady Math kindergarten curriculum, and that has been phenomenal. It has, since it is the kindergarten curriculum, they are learning the exact same standards as they would learn in kindergarten. But with iReady Math, they get to learn it in a very hands-on approach and we expect them to grow and learn, and more so than fully master it.
Yeah, kindergarten does move at a faster pace than it did even when my oldest was in kindergarten. So I do think, I think this program is great for a lot of reasons. But my other question I had is, did you guys see many students who were not in the correct lane there with Launch versus the, just starting kindergarten based on that, 3-month age as the standard? Does that seem to work well, or?
Yes, it does work really well. I think that's, there's always some tweaks to, those August babies versus not and things like that, but it has worked really well.
Okay, so for the most part, where it's drawn now seems to be appropriate for the context that you guys are seeing?
Yes.
I believe so, yes. In the future, if our classes weren't, since our max is at 18, if our first say my class was at 18 and the other kindergartens were we think this child may be better, suited in a Wildcat Launch Kindergarten classroom, I think that would be most appropriate, and so that we can help meet the needs of all of our students. But the cutoff has been really successful so far.
Okay, great, glad to hear it, thank you.
One other thing to piggyback off your question, one of the common questions that we've received is, are the resources the same? And they're not the same. And so while the standards are the same, one of the things that was very intentionally done, and it's a credit to the team, is that we didn't want a student to have 2 years of the same resources, right? So it will be a very different experience when they go into year 2. It's not going to just be a regurgitation of the same resources that they use. So they're gonna do new stories, new books, and again, it's at an accelerated pace for mastery once they hit kindergarten. So it's very dialed in appropriately for 2 years versus, doing the same thing 2 years in a row.
Okay, yeah, I think that seems great, and I noticed you guys talked about iReady Math as, and what you guys are doing there, where I don't remember the home links and all that the kids get in
Every day.
Everyday math.
Thank you, I'm like, I just know the home links, I can't recall the other part. But, so I think that's great that you guys are giving them something different, but not having to repeat, but then learning the same things and getting that really mastered. Awesome, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Boudwine. Mr. Mishner?
Yeah, just 2 quick comments. One, it would be really interesting to see how our Wildcat Launch students do next year when they're in kindergarten, to get a follow-up, not just on Wildcat Launch next year, but how the Wildcat Launch kindergarten students did. And see how to kind of fully prove out the mission of the program. And then my other comment is, at a time where it's very feasible, a lot of school districts could be consolidating and increasing class size, that we found a way to, provide resources in the whole class to better meet the needs of our students and reduce class sizes both for kindergarten and for the Wildcat Launch students. So I think that's pretty impressive that we were able to do that as a district.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, thank you guys so much. We really appreciate all the work you're doing for our littles, and we look forward to seeing where they go next year in true kindergarten.
Thank you again.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Alrighty, we're gonna move on to our celebrations. Tonight we have 2 celebrations. We're gonna start with the 2025 Educators of the Year.
Very exciting time. We, if you've been watching social media, you've seen our annual, kind of reveal of our Educators of the Year, and it's been just incredible to recognize these tremendous educators. And so I'll turn it over to Dr. Carino to do the honors.
Thank you very much. Yes, as Mr. Micah shared, this is one of the most favorite parts of our job, to be able to recognize outstanding educators for all of their efforts in the classroom and beyond. We had so many nominations of very deserving people, so it was incredibly difficult to pick just 4, but we are really, truly delighted to announce the 4 of them publicly today. They have all been surprised in their classrooms, and we were really thrilled to just be able to recognize their efforts. So I would like to call them up each as I read components of their nomination packet, so you can hear a little bit about what their nominator said about them and why we selected them. So as I say your name, please join us at the podium so that we can publicly recognize and thank you. So first up is Carly Musa. She is our preschool through 4th grade. So part of Ms. Musa's nomination packet is the following. So Ms. Musa knows each of her students as individuals. She has created an environment in her classroom where students feel comfortable enough to let their personalities shine through. By doing this, she can meet her students where they are not only academically, but socially and emotionally as well. Ms. Musa's ability to connect with students on a personal level and create a classroom environment that fosters learning and creativity is truly commendable. She challenges her students and advocates for their needs to personalize each of their learning styles and ensure their growth academically and personally. So congratulations, Carly.
Thank you.
Now you get to stay. So yes, she brought some special guests, so we will let you introduce them.
I brought, first off, Melissa Cyrus and Melissa Callier here, and they're 2 of my team teachers that nominated me, so I thank them very much. And then my stepmom Suzanne's here, and then my cousin Danielle and my cousin Dylan are here, and they actually are Novi alumni, and they went to Parkview, you guys. Oh. And I got the pleasure of teaching 2 out of 3 boys. I only didn't get to teach Sam because it was COVID and I wanted to be in person and not on a computer. But they have been, ever since 2nd grade, been in my life and still continue to be in my life, so it's pretty special.
Congratulations, Carly.
Next up, we have Kim Kozlowski. And she is our 5th through 8th grade outstanding educator, and here's just a little snippet from her nomination packet. Kim Kozlowski engages students in a dynamic and meaningful way, drawing on her personal experiences and innovative teaching methods to inspire active learning. Her background as an engineer in computer science serves as a powerful example for her students, particularly in math. She uses her previous career experience to show students that they can be strong mathematicians, drawing parallels between real-world problem solving in engineering and the concepts they are learning in the classroom. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Would you like to share who's with you today?
Sure. I brought my mom because, you know, no matter how old you are, who's your strongest supporter, right, other than your mother. And my husband, Bill, is here. I wish our daughters could be here as well, but our oldest is a Novi grad. She's a junior at University of Arizona, and our youngest is a Novi senior who's about to take the field for her first very cold spring soccer game. So, thank you.
Congratulations.
All right, next up is not only our 9 through 12 and adult ed career prep outstanding educator, but also the overall NEF educator of the year, Peggy Bass. And this is a small snippet of her nomination packet. Peggy is always looking at the big picture of education, the whole four-year experience for each kid lucky enough to be in her class. Peggy always thinks from the student perspective. She always says, what does this look like for a kid? How would a kid see this? She establishes a learning community where students and staff feel safe, valued, respected, and loved. Congratulations, Peggy.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Who's here with you today?
So I didn't think I could be surprised one more time, but my husband, who I thought had a scheduling conflict, couldn't be here. He's here. So sitting next to my friend from 2nd grade, whose kids went through Novi too, Carol Katalski back there. Linda Fairlam in the back. I have all my Novi family here. Oh my gosh! Everybody, raise your hand if you're like for me. So excited.
Congratulations, Peggy.
And last but certainly not least, we have our outstanding ancillary educator of the year, Andrea Tobin. And here is a snippet from her nomination packet. Andrea is the go-to person for many people at the high school. All of the counselors can count on her for accurate information and helpful guidance. It doesn't stop at the counseling office, though. Andrea answers questions from teachers and other support staff, building administrators, as well as district administrators. Andrea is brilliant when it comes to pulling reports, analyzing data, and creating spreadsheets to help drive decision-making. All of them know. Decision-making that are in the best interests of the students that we serve. Congratulations, Andrea. Who did you bring to Todd?
Well, I think he had to be here anyway, but I brought my husband, Dan Tobin. Very lucky to work with. And then my daughter, Lorelai, who is a Village Oaks student. And it's lovely to see so many familiar faces from our high school here, so it's really awesome. Thank you.
Congratulations, Andrea. All righty. Any comments? I mean, I know we're all very proud and excited to celebrate some of our own. We're just so blessed here in Novi to have amazing staff and to really have extraordinary educators being supported by their colleagues and being nominated by their colleagues. I know is such an honor. So we're so appreciative to have you here today and to celebrate you. Yes, please, Mrs. Bodwine.
While I have not had the pleasure of having my students work with all of you who have won these very well-deserved awards, congratulations to all of you. I'm so very impressed with the caliber of educators we have here and, of course, the cream of the crop here tonight. So this is wonderful. But I did want to thank my very good friend, Andrea Tobis, for all of the work she has done for my children and a lot of other children in our district, as well as our staff. And my experience as someone who is a friend of hers has always seemed like she's got a great grasp of this. But it was so wonderful as you were reading that to see so many of your coworkers enthusiastically nodding about what a great support you are to them and to the students in the building. So I just really wanted to give you that recognition, although I know by your face that you're hating this. I just love you too much to not do this, so my apologies and also congratulations. And all of you, I'm just so very proud of you, so thank you for all of your hard work for our students and being such a great example for your coworkers and educators throughout the state. Thank you, Mrs. Goldfein.
We have a recommendation.
Oh, well, we have Cameron, and he takes precedence over everything, so go ahead, Cameron.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, so Mrs. Bassett, when you got, I was about to say crowned, but when you got, when you found that you were a Novi educator, I remember I was in the black box watching Awkward Pause, and they were like, somebody just got a car, and I'm like, what? And then I found out it was Mrs. Bassett, and I was like, wow, that is so cool. And then I had Mrs. Fairland actually right now, and so the day after she was like, did you hear the news? I'm like, yeah. And so it's just really cool to see all of you, especially because I know a lot of you personally, a lot of the people in this room, so it's really nice to see a lot of familiar faces and then recognize you all for what you do. So thank you from a student.
They're all here to borrow the car.
I have it.
Thank you, Cameron. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Cook to make the board recommendation, please.
I recommend that the Novi Community School District Board of Education recognizes Carla Musa, Kim Kozlowski, Andrea Tobis, and Peggy Bassett as the 2025 Novi Educators of the Year and extend appreciation for their commitment and excellent and dedication to our students.
Support. Yeah. We're all going to fight about that. Support. Recommended by Mr. Cook and supported by Mrs. Bodwine. If we can take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. So we are going to take a short break because you all brought all these people and wonderful friends, and I know that they love us here at the school board and want to stay all night, but I don't think so. So we will have a 5-minute break. If you would like to stay, we'd love to have company and visitors, but we want to congratulate our honorees. All right, welcome back to the regular meeting of the Novi Board of Education. We are going to continue on with celebrations. Our next celebration is a board member achievement, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Meinka.
Thank you. I was notified this week that one of our board members, trustee Marianne Roney, has completed the data skills specialty certification through MASB, and it's for taking continuing education courses and continuing to expand her specialty areas and expertise. So just wanted to recognize Marianne for her continued work in that area.
Congratulations. Alrighty, next we have comments from the audience. The board respectfully requests that any individual wishing to speak to the board provide their name, address, and any organization they may represent. Keeping their comments to the allotted time of 3 minutes, refrain from directing comments to individual members of the board, district employees, or members of the audience. Looks like, Mr. Cook, we have one green card up here.
Mr. Syed?
Just waiting on my wife real quick.
Okay, no worries.
I have a disruptive child who just entered. It's terrible too, so.
We won't start your time until you're ready.
Sure, it was only gonna take me a minute anyway, so. So, hello everyone, my name is Ibad Sayed, this is my wife Namra, and this is our son who just turned 2, his name is Adam. I'm originally born and raised in Houston, Texas. Long story how I got to Michigan, but chose Novi specifically because of the school district. So.
Hold on 1 second, we're having a little technical difficulty with the.
That's probably not because of me.
Okay, keep going. Nope. We're just matching your sweet sons. We're having a little meltdown up here too, so hold on 1 second. It's really fast. We can just, skip. Okay, go ahead.
So we chose Novi specifically because of the school district. Clearly, collectively, with the board, the educators, and the community, everything you guys are doing, it's clearly working because everyone across the entire city and state knows about the schools and speaks extremely highly of them. And it seems like that's nothing new. It's been like that for a while. I saw a plaque out there from like 1989 when the year I was born that's showing it's like that then too, right? So just wanted to really just send appreciation to the community, and we've had some interaction with some of your staff, and everybody's phenomenal, and just wanted to kind of share that positive note there. And it's really important to invest in the future. I actually had one of the internship programs at my job, and so I deal with a lot of kids that are still in college and things like that, and I can I think it's very easy to tell that the structure that's built into the discipline of having good work ethic and all that really starts from these early years. You see a really strong trend of usually the interns are folks that came from good school districts initially and things like that. So it does kind of flow through all the way into the professional life and stuff as well. And with the world being as competitive as it is now, right, it's not how it was back when we were kids, right? You just get a degree and go and do something, right? But now it's, a lot more competitive, and so definitely that's really important. So thank you for everything you guys do and for helping build our community.
Thank you, Mr. Syed.
Can we give 1 extra minute?
All righty. Do we have any more green cards, Mr. Cook?
That's the only one.
Okay. We will move on to then our consent agenda. Tonight on our consent agenda, we have approval of bills, board report for January 2025, check register for January 2025, purchase card report for January 2025. We have approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting February 20th, 2025. Approval of field trips, Business Professionals of America trip, DECA International Career Development Conference trip, First Robotics Competition Michigan State Championship trip, Michigan Youth in Government Spring Conference trip, Music in the Park trip, Novi Dance Nationals Competition trip, NHS Varsity Baseball Perfect Game Great Lakes Tournament trip, NHS Spanish Costa Rica, and thank you, Mr. Cook, that trip. And if I can get a recommendation. Mr. Mena?
Yeah, I move that the board approve consent items as presented.
Support.
Recommended by Mr. Mena and supported by Mr. Cook. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Dr. Ruskin?
Yes, please.
Since we voted without the conversation part, I just wanted to mention regarding the Costa Rica field trip seems to also be another one that is getting pretty pricey, and I just wanted to make sure that we're kind of keeping an eye on the cost of all this travel as it seems to be ballooning. So just, I mean, I still support it, but just, I'm glad they at least got some time to raise money for it, because that one I think was close to $5,000 for that trip, which I'm sure will be amazing. But,
yeah.
One other quick comment, if I may?
Yeah.
President Ruskin? One of the questions that we did get on that field trip was just about sometimes there are trips where they become questionable related to safety. That's not something that we have a concern about for this particular trip, but just so that everybody's aware, there have been times and there may be times where we pull, a trip from moving forward. If the country of origin is experiencing something that would create an unsafe situation. So right now, we don't have that concern, but that could change quickly as you know how, world events can go. So just want to make sure to put that out there as well.
Thank you. Mr. Mishner?
Just another comment on cost. This one in appreciation, the Novi Middle School band trip, I noticed that they planned in advance, had a fundraiser. The fundraiser covers the group travel. And I thought that was a really good example of maybe how to proactively address the cost. So I thought that was something I wanted to highlight as a standout of maybe this is one way that we could do that. It seemed like it made the cost manageable for most of the students.
Thank you. And we'll talk a little bit further when we talk about our committee reports, kind of about our field trip discussion. So, thank you. We will move on to donations. Not sure we have anything for donations. It's just on the. Yeah. Oh, there is one. That's what I'm rolling through here. I'm struggling with this overnight trips. Okay. Mr. Meinfeld?
Alrighty, yep, we are in receipt of a generous donation in the amount of $1,000 gifted to the boys basketball program. Recommendation is that we accept that with appreciation and thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Micah. If we can get a recommendation. Mr. Cook?
I recommend that the Novi Community School District Board of Education accept the generous donation in the total amount of $1,000 as presented with great appreciation and thanks.
Do you have support?
Support.
Recommended by Mr. Cook and supported by Mrs. Roney. Any comments or questions?
I just had a question of, do we know who the donation was from?
Nope, it's an anonymous donation.
Oh, well, thank you.
Thank you to Mr. Anonymous.
Yeah, thank you.
Or Mrs.
Yeah, I was gonna say, they just had their banquet this past Sunday, and so actually my brother plays on the basketball team for the freshmen, and so I gotta go to that. And Coach Housey was, I've seen that guy a few times in the hallways. He got, I never had his class, but I know he got really emotional when it came to the guys, especially the seniors who are people I've grown up with, and so that was really amazing to see. It's cool.
Awesome. Okay, any other discussion? No? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. We will move on to our only action item this evening, which is Personnel Report A. Mr. Micah.
Alrighty, I will turn Personnel Report A over to Dr. Carino.
Thank you. Good evening. I am excited to bring forward the following individuals for consideration for hiring into the district. Chloe Clark is being recommended for a teacher consultant position. She comes to us with experience as a special education teacher in Plano and as an autism team family support specialist. Sana Vivekanandhan is being recommended for a special education paraprofessional position at Orchard Hills. Sana holds a master's degree in information technology and management from India. Jennifer Watts is being recommended for a special education paraprofessional position at Novi Meadows. She has previously served as a receptionist and has been a guest paraprofessional in our district for the past few years. Marta Avery is being recommended for a science teacher position at Career Prep. Marta has worked as a guest teacher since 2016 and holds a Master of Science degree from Poland. She previously taught IB and AP Physics. Phyllis Johnson is being recommended for the Adult Education ESL teacher position, and Phyllis has extensive experience having taught elementary school in New York for many years. Additionally, as the deadline for retirement and leave of absence notifications was March 15th, We have several recommendations for your consideration. At the conclusion of this school year, the following staff members will be retiring. Jill Armstrong, second grade teacher at Deerfield. Carolyn Cheney, media specialist at Parkview. Lori Garner, special education teacher at Parkview. And Gail Zielinski, high school social studies teacher. We sincerely thank them for their dedication to our students and their lasting impact on our Wildcats. David Gatuski, a bus driver, has also retired from his position, and we wish him much happiness going forward. And additionally, Jennifer Johnson has resigned from her bus driver position. Finally, the following staff members have requested leaves of absence for the 25-26 school year. Peggy Badgian, third grade teacher at Deerfield, is requesting her first childcare leave. Bailey Bishop, PE teacher at Novi Middle School, is requesting her second childcare leave. Allison Berg, fourth grade teacher at Orchard Hills, is requesting her second healthcare leave. Brianna Canito, first grade teacher at Village Oaks, is asking for her first personal leave. Ann Dane, sixth grade teacher at Novi Meadows, is asking for her second childcare leave. Jessica Gunes, second childcare leave, an ESL teacher. Natalie Horn, a fourth grade teacher at Village Oaks, is requesting her first childcare leave. Heather Iafredi is a second grade teacher at Village Oaks and is requesting her second childcare leave. And Chandra Matafari is asking for her third year of a 3-year association leave. And this concludes this evening's personnel report. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Carino. If I can get a recommendation, Mrs. Beaudoin?
I move that the Novi Community School District Board of Education adopt the personnel report as recommended.
Do we have support? Support. Supported by Mrs. Cleaver. Do we have any comments or questions?
Just sad to see some of these teachers retire, but wish them well in their, with whatever they decide to do in the future.
I know it actually makes me feel a little bit old because Jill Armstrong was my kiddo's very, very first teacher in Novi, so I know she's been teaching a long time. Although she's not old, she's ready to retire, but it makes me feel old that my kids' teachers are now retiring. So we do wish them well, and yeah, it's interesting, Mr. Cooper. Any other comments, or, yes, Mrs. Beaudoin?
I just noticed that there are quite a few childcare leave of absences on here, so congratulations to all those new families. That's like kind of a fun thing to see. Sad that they won't be here, but how exciting for all of them, and how nice too that they're able to take a year off and be with their kids. So that's wonderful. I'm glad that they're able to do that.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions?
Well, I just hope that they live in district, so then we have future students.
Oh, there you go.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe add that to the contract that they have to live here.
I will consider that.
Well, a lot of them like to bring their kids here even if they don't live here.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. Okay, seeing no other comments, we are ready for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried 7-0. I will turn it back over to Dr. Carino to introduce some of our new employees.
Thank you.
Wildcat family members.
We have 3 of them here this evening, so I would like to first introduce Chloe Clark.
Hello, I am Chloe Clark. I am traveling here, not traveling, I live here now, all over Texas. I'm excited to be here. Novi's reputation trickled all the way down to the south via family members, and just really excited to join the team. My background's in special education. I was a teacher, and then I moved into a district-wide role of family support specialist, where I helped families who had students on the autism spectrum generalize skills from home to school, school to home. So I'm happy to kind of bring my experience and join the Novi family.
Welcome.
Sana.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity to meet you all today. My name is Sona.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. And I have the privilege of working as a para-professional at Orchard Hills Elementary School. And I am deeply passionate about helping students thrive and contributing to a positive, inclusive school environment. I am honored to be part of this team, and I look forward to continuing to work to make a difference in our students' life. Thank you. Thank you for this warm welcome.
Welcome.
not least, Jennifer.
Hi, my name is Jennifer. I've lived in the district for over 40 years. I've been working as a sub for EduStaff and for Novi for the past, I think this is the 3rd year. I was actually kind of surprised to hear Lori was retiring because that's where I started. I started in her classroom with her and Mrs. Tatuli. But I'm really excited to be here. My oldest daughter graduated from Novi High School in 2016. My youngest will graduate in 28. I graduated from Novi in 95. Been here a long time. I'm super excited to come do this for the district. I love what I do. So I'm really, really excited to have this opportunity.
Awesome.
Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. Officially. Thank you very much, Dr. Carino, and welcome again to our new Novi Wildcat family members. So we will move on. We have quite a few things on our information and discussion agenda this evening. We will start with the proposed athletic handbook discussion. Mr. Micah.
Thank you. We had a discussion about this at our last board meeting, and we decided at that point to bring this back for information and discussion when Mr. Wachowski could be present for just some questions that may have come up. I know Dr. Carino worked with Mr. Wachowski to get the updated version of the handbook uploaded to the packet so that that was there for your review. And then Mr. Wachowski comes tonight to be able to answer any questions or curiosities you might have.
Thanks, Mr. Micah. Good evening, everybody. I was asked to be here and just to answer any questions that you guys may have. I guess just to kind of kick off the discussion, when you think about a student-athlete handbook, from my perspective, it's really about creating the culture that we want it to be with our student-athletes, with our families, how we can best represent the Novi School District, while also maintaining a standard of character that we deem is appropriate for our student-athletes and really our student body in general, and then the opportunity to be consistent. I know that was something that was brought up. I had watched the previous board meeting, and so by having a clear, concise, transparent code of conduct, it gives us the ability to be consistent in the way that we respond to situations that may occur. And ultimately, it's to be able to build trust. I think that truly is the number one factor of success in any organization, is that we trust each other. And ultimately, I think a real comprehensive code of conduct allows us to build trust with all of our stakeholders. So that's kind of my way of kicking off the conversation. I know that there were some questions. I was asked here to come and address those questions to the best of my knowledge. So open to any questions you may have.
Thank you, Don. We appreciate you. Mr. Menschner.
Yes, I have 3, 2 in the pay to participate section, sections 9 and 10, and 1 for the code of conduct. So it's the same question, we just do it twice for middle school and high school, but I'm just wondering if the note in number 8, where it says, if you've been approved for free or reduced lunch, please contact the high school athletic office in regards to the fee to participate. Does that still work now that we have free lunch programs? Is that going to be a problem moving forward to be able to identify those students?
That's a great question, and one thing we do is we ask families to still go through the application process, and then that way we're able to identify. But we do ask for our families to communicate that to us, because that's not necessarily information that we can just pass amongst organizations and groups, even within the school district. So that's why we try to promote that to the greatest extent possible, that if you would qualify for free and reduced lunch, that you reach out to us and we'll work with you on it.
Okay, thank you. And then my last question for section 14. I was wondering, in the section where it talks about law violations, that is page 15.
Mm-hmm.
I was just wondering why the word choice for the second, under the second offense, says any subsequent violations may result in the student athlete being suspended from all future Novi athletic programs, where in all other second offense or third offense situations, the word used is always will.
Yeah. One thing too, to address to your first question you asked, I've been doing this now in Novi for 4 years, but, 15 as an athletic director and assistant principal. And the one thing I'll say is we have yet to ever turn somebody away for financial reasons. So it's very important to me that even if families don't qualify for free and reduced lunch, we're willing to reach out, work with them on payment plans, payment structures, so that we can, collaboratively work together and ensure that students have the opportunity.
That's really good to know.
Yeah, when it comes to what you'll typically see in code of conducts, athletic code of conducts regarding law violations, is it's really challenging to address it as specifically as we can, things like alcohol and drugs, and tobacco use, and nowadays vape use, right? And so there's a little more vagueness in regards to that. So the idea of may result, it would just depend on how specific or how severe that law violation was. And that's why we leave that type of language in. The other thing that can be sometimes challenging when it comes to law violations is the idea of, has the student been charged? And just because they've been charged doesn't mean that they're necessarily guilty.
I see.
Right, so that's why we try to leave ourselves a little bit of wiggle room to be able to work around those individual circumstances and situations.
All right, thank you for that explanation.
No problem, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. Ms. Kleeper?
Yeah, can you maybe take a step back and just talk about how the document was created? Did you inherit it from your predecessor? Did we copy it from MHSAA? How did this, evolve?
Sure thing. I could go back 15 years, right? I could even go back 20 years in regards to when I started coaching. Really, it's a culmination of all my experiences. I've been fortunate enough to be a part of multiple school districts, multiple different leagues, multiple different conferences. I've served on MHSAA committees. Obviously, any MHSAA policy, we agree to be a part of the MHSAA. So that is kind of embedded in a lot of this language and discussion. You'll even see there's a part in there that just says that we abide by MHSAA rules and regulations. And that's a little bit more sport specific, eligibility specific. So the MHSAA plays a large role in this, but really what every individual code of conduct does is it makes it local. Right, and so I created a code of conduct when I was at Ortonville Brandon schools that looks similar to this, and then when I moved to Royal Oak schools, we sort of adopted some of this with us, and then ultimately when I came here, we had some things in place, and there was some pretty good teeth with it, but there were a couple different versions that were floating around, and they were posted in a few different areas. And so the one thing that we struggled with a little bit in the first year or two was we would have something occur and we'd have two different areas that we could go to, and it just made for some challenging conversations. It wasn't as clear and concise as we wanted it to be. So this is sort of a culmination of those experiences that I've had throughout the first part of my career, and then coming here and using what was in existence and just putting it together for a tool that I think is going to be valuable for us. The other thing I'll say is, I've also had the fortunate opportunity to work with some fantastic athletic directors and school districts, and what you'll see here isn't an anomaly, right? It's not something that's not somewhat consistent with what we see in other districts that we would probably say we want to compare ourselves with. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mena?
Yeah, Mr. Wachowski. The question I have is, again, regarding the code of conduct, and I'm sort of wondering why some of these bullets that are in here are specifically in the athletic code of conduct versus higher up in the high school code of conduct. If you have a student that happens to run across one of these violations, and why would they be treated any differently, let's say, than a band member or somebody in HOSA or something like that? Do we have equal language up higher in the high school athletic code of conduct? Or all these rules just specific to athletes?
So, good question. It's something that we've discussed in pretty much every stop I've been at, right? Is this idea of you have a student code of conduct for our general student body that is kind of overarching, right? So what we try to do, and the reason why we sort of went second to the code of conduct, is that we wanted to make sure that our language was matching that language, right? So then there's that another discussion of, well, what about our activities? Okay, the one interesting thing about activities is that they're kind of all different, right? There's not a set season. There's not a set necessarily number or expectation or performances, so it's a little bit more challenging to have a comprehensive activities code of conduct that addresses every single club and activity that we have. So our vision is that we were going to start with this. I think there's a need and a desire for an activities code of conduct. And that's something that we're going to work on once we kind of get this in place. So I don't know if that answers your question directly. The one thing I think is worth stating is that what we try not to do is have like double jeopardy for our students, right? Like we don't want double punishment. So let's just say, for example, a student got suspended for something, right? Maybe it was a 5-day suspension, okay? We're going to take whatever they did, whatever they missed during that 5 days, because obviously when they're suspended from school, they can't attend practice, they can't attend games. So let's just say, for example, we then said as athletics, it's still a 25% suspension from the season. Well, we would include the time they missed while they were suspended within that 25%. So we just don't want to, kind of double up on it. The other thing about this too is that it's, when you make the decision to be involved in our athletic program, it's a 365-day-a-year commitment. It's a 24-hour commitment. It's a 7-day commitment. So once you start with us, you've officially entered our athletic program, and then all of these rules will apply all the way throughout the school year. So I don't know if that answered you directly. Maybe a more specific question.
And it's more of a concern. I mean, you have two students who get in trouble together, let's say, for being inappropriate at a party. One is an athlete and one is not, but maybe is involved in other activities, or is the punishment the same?
Yeah. I'm sure you've heard it before, but the general saying is that athletics is a privilege.
Well,
right?
So are activities.
Yes, I would agree, but once again, that's that conversation of, do we want to take it to that level, right? So let's say we have a club that meets once a month, right? Do we want to say, okay, if that student, had this similar violation, do we want to eliminate them from 25% of their club participation too? It's a conversation worth having, right?
One of the things I might just jump in and add too, sure. There is, in some cases, some co-curricular type of clubs. So for example, you might have, orchestra, which is more of it's tied to a class, and then there's a performance component to that, versus I'm doing something in the spring musical, or I'm in the drama club, which is not necessarily connected to a curricular component. And so there are some nuances there, but if I'm hearing, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but if I'm hearing what you're saying, is there consideration potentially to looking at all of our activities? And I think this was brought up at the last meeting, to say, would we develop a code of conduct, if you will, for activities or extracurricular things that is mirroring or very similar to what we're doing here? And I think there's a good argument to be made for that. Districts don't typically do that, but that's not a reason for us not to do that. That's something that I think makes a lot of sense.
No, I'm just seeking to understand.
Yeah.
It just seems to me that there's a hole in the process here, right?
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think there's an element of, it seems like there should be, I'll just say, equity is not the right word. I think equality is really what people are looking for with relation to how, we are treating our student athletes versus our musicians versus our actors and so on and so forth, right? So, that's definitely something we can kind of bring back and work on crafting, as well. So I know that came up, I think one of you brought that up at the last meeting as well.
Yeah, I'm not specifically asking for any action.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to understand, right, like, what's gonna happen going forward there, or if there's been any discussion on that. And I don't know what the right answer is. I was just curious on, why are we treating athletes different than we are treating, some, there are some large, activities here that are, half a year long, right?
Yeah.
So, I was just curious about that.
I think to add to your discussion that you brought up is, if you think about it from the academic expectation, right? I mean, we require student athletes per the MHSA to pass 4 out of 6 classes. should we require that for all of our clubs? I mean, in some cases, do we want our clubs to be more accessible? What kind of standard do we want for our clubs and activities? So, ultimately, that's a discussion that I think we need to have probably at your table and then amongst our administrators at the high school to determine that. So, but right now, that's probably the best answer I can give you.
Thank you, Mr. Menon. Thank you, Tom. Ms. Cleaver?
Can you talk about how many instances of code of conduct violations you've had with respect to bullying and then also the alcohol, drugs, vaping, and maybe in the last year or two?
Yeah.
Approximately is fine.
Yeah,
I hope.
I'll be honest, we're fortunate, right? We're very fortunate. In some cases, I would say that when it comes to the bullying and the hazing, that's something that we're zero tolerance. We're no nonsense. We speak about that at every coaches meeting we have. We speak about that with our student athlete leadership groups. We have had some circumstances that we've had to address. Fortunately, I think we've gotten to them as quickly as we could and kind of set the tone for our expectations. So when it comes to bullying and hazing, we're probably dealing with 1 to 3 situations a year. With potentially one being what we would consider approaching a serious or could get worse, right? That we try to address, but then most of the time the other 2 are something that we manage with the individual, the parents, the students on the team, the coaches, and we're able to manage that. When it comes to alcohol, tobacco, vaping, drugs, I would say it's about the same. 2 to 4. If we got to 4, I'd say it was a year that we didn't feel real good about. I mean, not to say that with 1 we feel good, but we are dealing with 15 to 18-year-old students. In some cases with our middle school, we're dealing with 12 to 15-year-olds. So we know mistakes happen. And what we try to do with this code of conduct is we don't want to just discipline behavior. We want to try to change behavior, right? And so that's where you see some of this progressive discipline measures as opposed to just saying, you're removed from the team.
Thank you. Mrs. Boatwright?
So, thank you for being here and answering all these questions. I know you were not able to be here last time, and we came up with quite a few, so thank you for taking the time for this today. First, I wanted to, just kind of observe that one thing I think is great is the responsible technology use portion. And one thing I've heard from, middle school and high school counselors is when a lot of the bullying and whatever bad language kind of stuff occurs over text messages outside of the school day or Snapchat or whatever it is children do, that we don't have any control over that behavior because it's not happening in while they're under our care. And I think this is such an excellent opportunity to encourage kids to make good choices by saying hey, if you're making these negative decisions, then you can't participate in these things. And I do really love that that's in here. And then also regarding the alcohol and drug use thing, we talked last time about that there were kind of a lot of chances on this, and I'm wondering how frequently do you see the same students experiencing these problems, and do you feel like the way this is set up now is effectively mitigating this? Or with that said, I acknowledge they are 15 to 18-year-olds, so I understand.
Yeah, I was fortunate. I watched the previous board meeting, so I heard some of the conversations that were happening in preparation for tonight. And I don't think there's a perfect answer for this, right? I kind of go back to the idea that we're trying to change behavior, right? We understand that students will make mistakes. My research, just even this morning, I was reaching out to some of the ADs in our conference to say, hey, what are you guys doing when it comes to this? 95% of the ones I've come across in my experience are progressive in nature. Some might be 20, 50. Some might be 50% removed. I think we probably fall towards the more stringent. I'm familiar with a few that clear out after every year, right? I'm also familiar with 1 or 2 that you have 180 days after your third. So if you happen to be a sophomore, well, you're going to be able to play. If you happen to be a senior, you're going to lose out on the rest of your career, right? So I think that this one gives us the best chance. The first offense of 25%, my experience is most students don't get the second. in the 15 years that I've been doing this, I have yet to have a student, well, actually, I think there was one in my career that got to a third. By the time you get to that third one, I think you're telling us what's really important to you, right, with the choices that you're making. So I mentioned it earlier, though, we also do have the opportunity with any of these violations is the appeal process, which I think is an important part of this, right? Which then engages coaches, it engages our principal, Mrs. Carter. It would potentially pull Mr. Micah into it, where families have an opportunity to appeal. And where maybe we can explore, we can learn more about, the particular situation that may change, ultimately our decision. But I think this really provides a good foundation. The 50% on the second one, and then combine that with successful completion of some sort of intervention program is a pretty strong way, I think, of saying that, our expectations are high. And then ultimately, they get to that third offense, and if we have another issue, then, as I mentioned earlier.
Okay, and I have one other question, and I did not read this thing terribly thoroughly, but I kind of looked over. I didn't see anything in here under like sexual harassment or sexual assault. Is that anything that is covered in here that I have missed, or is that an opportunity for us to?
I think it's a good discussion. To a certain extent, that would be covered in our student code of conduct.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are some things that potentially could happen within athletics that would get elevated beyond our athletic code of conduct, right? And then it would pertain. So, but I also think that would probably fall loosely into the category of harassment, bullying, hazing, but also potentially legal and law. So we don't specifically mention that, but it's something we can definitely consider.
Yeah, could you check and see if other districts are doing that? Because that does seem to me like kind of a specific area that could be called out, just as we are using this carrot of athletics to support positive behavior. That might be a space that we could do that. But just overall, I think this is great, and I personally would support seeing a similar document that would apply to other student groups and activities, because I think that we offer so many wonderful extracurriculars here that having some of these criteria to participate is a great way to really expect higher of our students, and I appreciate the effort.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Bovine. Do we have any other comments or questions? Mr. Cook?
Getting away from the punitive part of this for a little bit, and get to the celebratory. The awards and everything that they get, I understand, varsity letters, chevrons, likes of that, and a varsity jacket. We also do offer, 3 sport athletes for participating all through 3 seasons, and the KLA Scholar Athlete Award for varsity kids that have 3.2. But we do also have a number of freshman students that participate in varsity sports, and sometimes it's because we don't have enough for the lower levels and stuff. But if they earn that varsity letter that freshman year, they're not eligible for that KLA Scholar Athlete Award, from what I understand. But in here it does say that they finish the season with a cumulative GPA. So I just wondered if we need more clarification on that, or.
So when it comes to the scout, the best answer I can give you for that is that, if, let's just say, for example, you had a fall freshman that played varsity, you wouldn't have a high school GPA on them yet. And it reverts back to the previous semester GPA. Okay. So I would imagine, without knowing the history of that award, that's probably what it stems from, is we didn't want to honor a winter or a fall or a spring freshman and not be able to honor the fall freshman.
Maybe in here we should say, eligible second or sophomore year and above, or something like that.
I think the rules actually come from KLA. If you Google KLA, that is one of their, it says specifically, so we don't really have any control of that, yeah.
That's fine.
But one thing I think
I'm gonna call it out in here.
But one thing I think I could do to help that is maybe define that a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yep.
Any other questions? I'm sorry, Mr. Commissioner.
Yeah, just one last comment. I wanted to also highlight something positive. I like how the principal core values, the Novi 6, how commitment, discipline, and grit come right alongside our graduate of the profile for a resilient problem solver, and respect, teamwork, and trust also complement how we're trying to make our graduates empathetic collaborators, and how they tie into how we're trying to grow our students up into these amazing, effective human beings. So I like having that right there in front as one of the missions.
Love it. Thank you. And thanks for bringing that up, because that's one of the areas we're most proud of, because those were actually developed by our students. That was our student athlete leadership group that came up with those, and that was about a 6 to 12 months of work and meeting and development and discussion, and that's ultimately where they landed. So
That's good to know they want to be that.
That's directly from student voice.
That's excellent.
Mrs. Kleber?
Last question. Is our pay to participate similar to other districts? Second part is, does it change frequently? Would it give you more flexibility to put it in as a schedule and just reference a schedule if it needs to be changed over time? Or does it not? Has it been this way for years?
Since I've been here, and even before, I think when pay to participate came out, that it's been consistent.
Is it
I do
consistent
know
with
what
other
you had brought.
districts? Do we
No.
know? Higher, lower?
Just depends. I would say we're probably somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah, yep, I would say we're right about in the middle. And then in some districts, it varies with, how many sports you play and you get free. We're pay for 2 at the high school, you get the third one free. We also have family caps, so a lot of times in other districts, they'll have a different cap. So, it's interesting, because I know Mr. Mena brought up the idea too of taking the coaches out, because we have coaches that change frequently, although we prefer they wouldn't. We do have turnover in those roles. And so I did pull that out. I don't know if you guys have the active link, but so that links to something that you can easily update. So could we do the same thing with pay to participate? We could. Primary reason I didn't is because it's been consistent. And I also think that decision wouldn't just happen at our level. That decision would probably happen at this level, and even with Mr. Micah and our district leadership. So the other thing to mention about this code of conduct is how do people access it? How do they get it, right? And the idea is that and many of you have had students and children that have gone through, but when you register for Final Forms on an annual basis, our families and our student athletes sign off that they have read and they agree to abide by the code of conduct. So let's just say that was to change. We would have the opportunity to change that as we go into the next year with the code of conduct. So, yes.
That actually reminded me of the other question I was going to ask, was how the information is distributed, so thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
But I'm curious if you guys have considered at all putting together kind of like a behavioral bullet points for students, right? So this is a 23-page document, which is fantastic and very thorough. But if I was a student, or honestly even a parent, I'm probably gonna be like, yep, sure, we looked it over, it looks great. And so I'm wondering about even just putting together for your students, even like an email that would go out after they've signed it, like, hey, just so you know, this is your behavioral expectations to participate. Violations of these things will result in, whatever, see the conduct book. But to me, I think for our students, that might be helpful to just make sure they are aware of what they have agreed to, unless you think the coaches are really getting that information to them. Because some of the things that impact outside of school behavior may not be things that students consider something that would be under our purview in that capacity.
Yeah, when you think about, the meat and potatoes of it and what our kids need to know, right, as far as the rules, it's really number 14. And probably including our academic eligibility pieces as well. So I like that idea, and we could even potentially pull that piece out to have also a separate opportunity through Final Forms to sign off on the behaviors expected of the student athlete. The goal of the handbook is to try to encompass basically anything that a parent or a student athlete would need to know if they want to know about Novi athletics, right? But I like that idea too of kind of that just the piece of the code of conduct.
Could even be like a really cool infographic that's like, here's what you can get in trouble for. And just like send that to kids, like, hey, this is like really where you can find yourself in. Because I do think that, like, this document is wonderful, and I think you've done such a very thorough job here. But I'm not sure how many of our athletes are gonna dig in to be like, okay, how much trouble will I really get in for that? So, might be good.
Thank you. Mr. Commissioner?
Yes, promise these are my last two. I almost
You
missed
said
them
that
on my
last
notes. For the concussion section, I know when I was part of a collegiate program, they did a pre-screening before the season started. They had us take a test on a computer to give us a baseline assessment. Do we do anything like that with our students to have a better assessment after, a traumatic injury to assess how greatly or not they were affected by that incident, so we could either get them the help they need or get them back onto the field sooner? And the other question I had is, with the insurance, is it possible that the district could come up with some very simple, basic liability insurance for those families that are uninsured or underinsured, so that, concern about their children's well-being wouldn't be a barrier for them participating?
First question in regards to concussion, and one of the things that I tell our coaches, and we reiterate a lot, that we wear a lot of hats, but one of the hats we don't wear is being a doctor, right? And so the pre-tests, which were kind of a hot topic about 5 to 8 years ago, so that when a student did have a head injury, they could come in and just get on a computer and take the same test, and then we could look at it and say, okay, let's compare the data, all right? Depending on who you ask, and once again, I'm not a medical professional, but depending on who you ask, they don't necessarily say that's a good practice.
Okay.
And I'll say that because some would probably say it's a great practice, right? But we are always going to side on caution. And if our students show any symptoms, which we've all been trained to acknowledge what symptoms are, right? Our coaches go through it on an annual basis. Our families, they're familiar with it at this point. We're not necessarily considering what your pre-test data was. If we think you've had a concussion, we think you're showing any symptoms of a concussion, we want you to go to the doctor. We don't want to make that decision. So I think for us, it's almost a safer way of saying, no, we're just going to have you go, rather than do some data where maybe that first time you really didn't really take it with integrity. A kid got behind a screen, who knows, maybe they were tired, right? Maybe they were hungry. Maybe they didn't take it seriously. And so we just say, if we think it's anything to do with a concussion, we're sitting you out, you need to go see a doctor. Yeah. When it comes to the medical expenses, very interesting discussion, one that's ongoing at any athletic conference I go to. We have right now the opportunity for families to purchase insurance, sport-specific insurance. We actually give them the opportunity to do that. And so I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but they can directly purchase like sport-only insurance that covers them, right? We also have some MHSA catastrophic insurance for major injuries that would kick in to help. The MHSA covers concussion insurance. Now, the first step is your own individual insurance, but after that, if it doesn't cover it, the MHSAA can kick in and help to cover it. So, big discussion, I think a worthy one that we need to engage in to determine if it's something that we want to offer. Maybe it's something we want to, talk about covering as a district, but most of our athletes, they're covered to a certain extent under our insurance as well, but not when it comes to individual health or injuries, right? It's more of a liability type insurance that we hold.
I just wonder if that would be useful to put in here. Maybe you communicate it via other means, but if I was just a parent reading this, I would see either I have insurance or I don't. I don't see that option where the sport-specific insurance is something I could opt into, so that would be, if you think that's appropriate, that might be a good spot to put it.
We do have a part on final forms that does state insurance expectations, but I like the idea of making sure that that opportunity is accessible. And I know we can talk a little bit more internally about insurance, because we have a certain company in particular that reaches out to us on an annual basis about it. So.
Thank you. Do you have any comments?
Yeah, I was gonna just mention briefly as we're wrapping up, you know, Mr. Wachowski would not say this, but last week we were just notified that, Mr. Wachowski was just recognized to be the president of the Michigan Interscholastic Athletic Administrator Association, so he's gonna represent our school at the state level. Thank you for all your hard work.
Thanks for saying that. Yeah,
Thank you.
It's an honor. Thank you.
And Don,
Impressive
thank you for
results.
being here today. I think that we, you know, drilled you plenty, but I do believe that this document is going to be super helpful, not only to our athletes and our families, but to your department, and it will just keep everybody accountable. You know, I'm sure sometimes there's emotions involved, and it's hard to make choices when things don't go perfectly, and so I think that this is a great document to help with that, with those kind of situations. So we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Alrighty, we are gonna move on to policy items discussion. I will turn it over to Mr. Micah.
Alrighty, we had a committee of the whole for governance and policy, and I wanted to just bring forward 3 of the policies from that group. I know Dr. Carino worked with our team on a lot of those things, and also Troon has reviewed these. So there's 3 policies for you to review tonight, and then obviously I know that if you were at the meeting, you were able to review them as well. The Title IX documents, interestingly, these are the 2020 regulations, and we never had the opportunity to move to the 2024 regulations. They were repealed in the time, just in terms of when the updates came out. So there are a few kind of clerical adjustments that Troon made to the policy, but most of the policy we already have in existence, so those edits are there to review. We also have the new Michigan Earned Sick Time Act, and that's a law that's affecting most everybody and all employers in the state of Michigan. You know, there's a lot of discussion about that bill, and I'm sure that there are actually several introduced bills to address some of the challenges with it, but at the end of the day, that policy does have to be in place, and so that is there as a matter of that act. And then the third policy is just on memorials, because we want to be prepared. We don't have a memorial policy, and we reached out and worked with Troon in the event that someone does pass, how we're going to treat that situation. And it's a lot easier to do it proactively instead of when you're in that situation having to deal with it. So those 3 are there for your review, and then we'd like to bring those back for approval at our next meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Mike. I know this was discussed at policy committee meeting. If anybody has any burning questions that they need to or would like to ask here, please feel free to. If not, if something comes to your mind or that you need clarified before we bring this to our next board meeting, you can always send an email as well. Okay, thank you to the policy committee and committee of the whole. The entire board was invited to have these discussions. Thank you, Mr. Mena, for leading the policy committee. We appreciate you. We are going to move on to new textbook discussion. Mr. Meinbaum.
Yes, at the curriculum committee of the whole, we discussed several textbook proposals. We have an AP Environmental Science textbook, as well as an IB Spanish, IB Sports, and IB TOK, which stands for Theory of Knowledge. Those were presented by Director Polanski at the last curriculum meeting. We also do have copies for your review. I know that some of the links and information were sent out. AP and IB courses have to have their textbooks turned over at a more frequent basis, just because of the way that the requirements in those course structures are set up and situated. So those are there for, again, your preview if you'd like to look at those, and we would ask that we could bring those back for approval at our next meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Meinka. I know we discussed this, as he pointed out, at our curriculum meeting. We did get an email that the links and several of the textbooks are available for review if anybody would like to take the time to do that or has any specific needs or questions that they want answered. You could certainly send that through Mr. Giramini and Mr. Meinka. Does anybody have any burning questions right now? Okay.
Are any of these needed for this year, such that you would want to move it to consent and get them ordered now, or are they all for next year?
They're all for next year.
Good job planning that.
Thank you, Mrs. Cleaver. Okay, seeing none, we will move on to the sixth grade house furniture discussion. Mr. Micah?
This is something that we've talked about for quite a while now, but with the new facilities for robotics and special education, as well as NATC, the Japanese school, and then the new board office, central office facility. This is the furniture package that was put together. Actually came in under budget from what we originally thought, so appreciate our contractors. That usually doesn't happen, and so it's nice to see that occur. That package is there for your review. Obviously, we're gonna be up against some timelines, and we wanna make sure we don't hit lead time issues, so we'll be asking for that to be approved at our next meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Micah. Does anybody have any specific questions? I see Kevin Donnelly hiding in the back and so patiently awaiting our discussion. If anything comes up, he's certainly here to help. No? Okay. Seeing nothing, we'll move on to NHS furniture discussion.
This is a little bit, we really just don't have a lot to talk about on this one, other than part of the Phase 3 high school projects was to do a refresh of the teacher classroom furniture. So not the student furniture, but the desk, the chair, the lectern, filing cabinet, those types of things. What's there for you to review is just kind of a sampling of some of the things that they're looking at, but actively right now, our teachers at the high school are testing out. They have kind of little displays set up, and then the teachers are actually seeing, there's 4 chairs to choose from, right? And they're looking at the different chairs. So this is part of our Phase 3 high school project. It is long overdue. A couple caveats, of course, all of the furniture will be able to be utilized in the new spaces when the high school is renovated. And, it is long overdue. If you go to some of our classrooms, just with the condition of some of the equipment, I think this will be a welcome change. We have a preliminary number of $450,000. That is also in our FF&E budget for Phase 3 high school. But we're gonna need to dial this in and have the actual selections made from now until our next board meeting. I just wanted to make sure I was honoring the info and discussion before we would ask you to approve it at our next meeting, because we will need to place that order. The complexity of this, of course, is getting all of the classrooms turned over. Our maintenance team's gonna have to do an auction and so on and so forth with existing furniture, so come April, we'll be asking for this to be approved so we can have it done over the summer and in time for the fall.
Thank you, Mr. Mike. Does anybody have any specific questions? Sounds like we're gonna get some more information. Mrs. Bodwine?
I just wanted to ask for that and for the sixth grade house that you could send out the info as they get the plans together, so we have time to look through it ahead of the board packet, so we have a little more time. At least I would like.
Yeah, I will absolutely do my best. I know they're testing right now, so it's just a matter of when they're able to make those selections, but as soon as we know, we'll send it on to you. I'll make a note to do that.
Yeah, I think when we did the Meadows one, there was like floor plans and some like general specs of what they were selecting, and I always saw some of it here, so everything looks great so far, but I just would like an opportunity to make sure.
Yep. Yeah,
it all seems in line with what we were thinking.
The other with the high school teacher furniture, it will literally be the same desk, the same chair, the same file cabinet, the same lectern, 150 times over. So there's not as much of a, here's how we're gonna lay out the room and that, it's more just, this is the chair, this is the thing, but once they make those selections, I'll get that to you.
And is it just the staff desks that are being replaced, not like student seating?
Correct,
Okay,
yeah.
great.
No student seating, it's just the staff furniture
Okay,
at this
cool.
time.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. We'll move on to our final information and discussion piece, which is Novi Meadows Robotics WPI Invitational. It's a field trip. Mr. Micah?
Yeah, so this is kind of an interesting opportunity. I'm just gonna kind of give a little bit of background. Our Meadows Robotics team was able to earn the opportunity to participate in an invitational that they didn't know about until just recently. And so when those things happen, we have a field trip process that needs to be followed. Our field trip process that we put in place has been great. I think it allows for, planning and so on and so forth, but it does take some time to get into that system. Additionally, this particular thing would have happened in the past without anyone at this table knowing about it, it would have just happened. And I think one of the things we're running up against right now is that while this is a new trip, it's the first time, they just found out about it. And the way that robotics works sometimes is they have to book their hotel rooms in blocks. And so the request from the coaches and the advisors is that we could move this out of info and potentially make a motion tonight, because that would save them up to 50% of their costs related to the trip itself. So I think there's a number of things we have to iron out related to robotics and some of these things, you know, how they're affiliated with the school and what that relationship looks like, but that's more of a long-term discussion. For right now, I just wanna make sure, as long as there's no glaring concern, this trip would have happened, as I said, 2 years ago, it would have happened anyway. My goal is to make sure that the families don't have to pay 50% more for their hotel blocks and things like that, or that they're not able to get rooms close to the venue. So that's kind of the recommendation I would make, and then obviously that's your decision on how you wanna handle that.
Thank you, Mr. Mishner.
Yeah, I'd like to move that the Novi Community School District Board of Education approve the Novi Meadows Robotics Club team trip to the WPI Invitational in Worcester, Massachusetts from June 12th to June 15th.
Support.
Recommended by Mr. Mishner and supported by Mr. Cook. We'll open this up for discussion if anyone has any specific questions on the field trip or logistics of the process. Mrs. Bodwine?
I just wanted to thank the robotics coach that contacted us to communicate the urgency of this. And while I think that having this process in place is great, I am glad to see us working with people to make sure we can accommodate what our students and teams need. So I appreciate the support for all of that from all of you, and also this great process you guys have in place.
Thank you, Mrs. Bodwine. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, okay, I think we're ready for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. We'll move on to our committee reports. We will start with the capital projects report, and that is Mrs. Bodwine.
Okay, let me pull that up. Okay, so we had our capital projects committee is kind of working in conjunction with our bond committee, which is like a community group committee. And in those two groups, the last meeting, we went through first with the board and then with our community group 4 key questions that we're using as part of our programming in terms of the bond. So that was what should go in the activity center, and there were a number of different options for that that the board and then the community have discussed, and our architectural team will be bringing back the collaborative answers to us once they've compiled all that data. So that was the first question of like what goes in our activity center. The second question was what our new and currently existing pool spaces should be what those should look like. So we talked about if we needed to have like a diving bay by our pool when we do the new pool for the activity center, if we're able to do that. And a couple other questions about that. And then also what we will do with the space where our pool currently is, and how that will impact our performing arts wing of the high school. We also talked about options for parking and making sure those things are accommodated for the community. And finally, we talked about kind of the heart of the high school and how we want to increase how people can navigate that space, as well as creating community within that building and making it, I think we were also trying to bring in more natural light and stuff. So there's some great things the team's working on there. And this has been just a pleasure to be a part of this project. So I thank you all for this opportunity, and thank you to the community and our architectural team for all their hard work as well.
Thank you. Thank you for that report, and thank you for chairing such an important committee as we move through to, our next phases of 2025.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks. We'll move on to Governance and Policy Committee. Mr. Mena?
Yeah, we met to cover a number of policy changes, including the 3 that we discussed here. We started discussing here tonight the memorial policy, the earned sick time, and the Title IX policy. As well, we will be having some additional discussion on some other policies around compulsory attendance, alternative ed, school of choice, as well as more conversation on a robust topic that we covered regarding the wellness center and policy surrounding that.
Thank you for chairing that policy committee, and we look forward to our action items next time and some more conversations at the next policy committee. We appreciate you. Finally, we have the joint DEI and curriculum committee report. We had a joint meeting. Mr. Giarmini gave some updates on what is happening within the district as far as all the multicultural nights and the upcoming event that is happening in April. And that is a 6th grade through
5-12.
Oh, 5-12. I know that fifth
Yeah.
6 gets me a little confused sometimes. And so, is that sign up still open?
No, the sign up closed.
Okay.
So we're reviewing the submissions and trying to make a determination if that is still the best possible date. And if we need to extend, if we need to adjust, the team is actually having that conversation actively today.
Okay, so we look forward to hearing the update on that. We talked about inviting some future groups and guests to our future meetings of the DEI. Curriculum, we discussed the textbook discussion that you heard here. We had an iReady report, our fall to winter data by Laura Bidlack. And we will be having another iReady report here at the full board meeting in the spring with our spring data, if I'm correct. And we had conversation about robotics furnishings in the new robotics center where the 6th grade house was, and how we wanted to handle that moving forward. So we look forward to more information on that. And then it wasn't even really a conversation, but it was just kind of a brief comment that we have charged the cabinet team to look a little deeper into budgetarily if there can be some financial support for curriculum-based field trips. And when I say that, I mean the 3 field trips that are surrounding curriculum, which are the 4th grade capital trip, the 5th grade overnight camp trip, and the 8th grade DC trip. So as you know, field trips come through, sometimes they are more expensive, sometimes they're more niche to just a small group of students who choose to send, families that choose to send their kids on those trips. But those 3 trips are directly related to curriculum and are really impactful for all students in those grades. So we're just asking the team to just look a little deeper and let us know after they do some investigating, some creative ideas. So that's what we discussed at our curriculum meeting. So we will move on to superintendent's report. Mr. Micah.
Alrighty, spring break is around the corner. After next week, it'll be 2 weeks out, but our staff and students are looking forward to that. That's always a really big benchmark in the year when you get to that point. Tomorrow is the middle school musical, which will feature the musical Emma, which is actually a jukebox musical. So if you're into like 80s and 90s music, I guess the kids are pretty courageously addressing some of that, which is going to be pretty cool. So that's tomorrow night. Awkward Pause has had multiple shows throughout the last few weeks and continuing their spring season or winter, ending their winter season. And I want to give everybody an update that the baseball, softball preliminary passed inspection today. There are a couple other ADA measures that have to be ironed out over the next couple days, and we should be looking good for starting practice on Monday, which is exciting for our kids to get out on the fields. Also, Ms. Cicluna is not able to be here tonight, so I'm just going to give a couple updates from her report. I briefly had the opportunity to go, and I'm sure that Mr. Cook and Ms. Roney will have some updates in theirs as well. But we had our first annual food competition yesterday called Novi Chopped. We had 7 teams compete, including 1 from the middle school. They did an incredible job. There was a lot of energy, a lot of excitement. The winners were the Kung Pao Pandas, who made Korean-style fried chicken, which was incredible. Tikka Fusion also made tikka masala, and the 3rd place was Quantum Rizman, who made butter chicken lasagna. So it was really kind of a cool thing to see Chartwell's come out and have a lot of executive chefs working with our students and just nice to be able to see us celebrating the passions and interests of all of our students, even those that don't maybe just focus on the arts or athletics. There's a lot of interest in those other types of things. And the other update from Ms. Cicluna was that she has been working with Mr. DeGrue to meet with EnviroClean, and they're really diving into staffing levels and doing a full refresh and analysis of where they stand, and they'll have more information here as we think about what we would do at the renewal time in June. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Meinke, and thank you, Ms. Cicluna. We'll move on to Dr. Carino.
Thank you. We had a successful first negotiation session with our Teamsters maintenance group, so we will be meeting again with them in April and hope to be able to come to a tentative agreement for that group to vote on, hopefully, in the near future. We have also been working very hard on wellness center planning, working on the policy language that we had first initially brought to the policy committee. We'll continue to work on that alongside of you, the financial model, and also just designing and thinking about every feature very intentionally. We were excited to kick off today our Hospitality House Weekend Food Program for 34 families in the district. Rosalie Johnson has created a great partnership with Hospitality House, who are going to provide some needed items for some of our families. So we're very excited to be able to provide that to them starting today. We are already looking at staffing for next year. So even though it is only March, we are looking ahead to 25-26. So we will be meeting with our building leaders in April to look at enrollment numbers and section numbers, and then prepare for the potential hiring of staff later this spring. And that leads me to, we will be having our very own first Novi specific local fair here. So instead of participating in job fairs all over the state of Michigan, we really want to bring people into our district, into our building, so they can see potentially a building where they may teach. And so we will be partnering with some other Oakland County districts to join us. But we're excited to kick that off later this spring. We are working with our mentor program coordinators to enhance and make our mentoring program a little bit more robust for new staff members. So in an effort to increase our staff retention, we've met with staff to listen to what they need and what they would like to see us focus on in the district. And our mentoring program is one of the items that came up that we can potentially grow. And so we're working with Oakland schools to be able to tap into their mentoring program and make things a little bit more robust here in Novi locally, so that we can provide different professional development opportunities and make sure that we're sustaining and supporting our staff over time. We're also meeting with staff wellness committees and just focused on different initiatives that are supporting the wellness of our staff. And so looking at different apps that we can potentially provide them, different activities. We had partnership with the Novi Public Library and their Starbucks Cafe, so that we could provide some discounts to our staff in appreciation for their efforts. And just really looking at physical and emotional well-being, so that we are making sure that we are supporting not only our kids, but also our staff. And just wishing everybody a wonderful spring break. We know they've worked really hard to get to this point of the year, and we hope everybody comes back rejuvenated in April, ready to finish the year strong. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Reno. Mr. Giramini?
Thank you, Dr. Ruskin. As we all know, March is reading month, and while reading is important all year long and every single day, March is a nice opportunity for us to just sort of celebrate the joy of reading and highlight that. I know that all of the district administrators have enjoyed opportunities to go read in classrooms. Parents have been able to come in and read in classrooms. It's just a really fun opportunity to celebrate together. March 10th marked the end of our, I'm looking at Emily, the end of our professional development series for this school year. I just want to extend immense gratitude to the Teaching and Learning Department for all of the pieces that they do. They plan, they organize, they rearrange, they change, they facilitate, they review feedback, they open up walls to set up spaces, they tear them down, they do all the things. Two of these team members are here. Emily Polonsky, our Director of Secondary, and Paige Franke, one of our literacy coaches. They work tirelessly to make this happen, and they just do an amazing job. And I also want to extend special thanks to all the educators and administrators who helped facilitate, because it is often thankless and a lot of work. And then lastly, today and tomorrow, a team from Novi is attending the McCull Conference in Detroit. That is the Michigan Association for Computer Users in Learning. The names might sound a little outdated, but the organization was founded in 1976. It's all about technology and education. This year, the specific emphasis is on artificial intelligence. So we have a team there learning and collaborating with others from around the state, actually around the country. And we are actually now part of a countywide team on artificial intelligence, helping support our own work in developing our guidance and our processes related to AI. So we'll have stuff to share with you in the not too distant future.
Awesome, thank you very much. Alrighty, we're gonna move on to board communication. If any board members have anything that they'd like to share, Mr. Mono.
I do. Superintendent Meinke mentioned earlier the Michigan Interscholastic Athletic Administration Association. I was fortunate to attend their yearly conference up in Traverse City last week. It's the second year that I've attended. Normally, I get invited up by Daktronics because we're one of their customers. It's really more for me to help them out and talk to their customers about some of the things that we're doing at Novi. But I also had the opportunity to go and visit some of the other vendors and see what's new, what the latest and greatest is on technology for athletics. So picked up a couple of good tips that we're looking to maybe implement during track and field, specifically finding more ways for us to use our video boards with some live cameras at certain spots on the track, and maybe figure out ways to get the kids in the field events up on the board as well. So that was pretty cool. And then we did mention, again, there was some mention about baseball. I think the first home game is a Tuesday. So it's a rush for a lot of work to do, but I think Daktronics is supposed to be coming out tomorrow to wire both of the boards up. They're already installed. I think we just need the computers to be installed in the press boxes, and then we'll be quickly designing actual scoreboards for games on Tuesday.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other board communication? Mrs. Bogot?
First, I wanted to wish our families that are celebrating it a happy Ramadan, and also to thank our staff for supporting our students and staff members that are fasting this month. I think they've got about 9 more days, so some of the kids, I'm sure, are struggling a little with that as the days get longer this time of year, but wonderful for them to celebrate that great holiday. Also, the NEF had their Go for the Green event, and just wanted to applaud them on another successful event, fundraising for our district, and they do such a great job providing a lot of the extras that we in Novi are very fortunate to benefit from, so thank you to them and to everyone who participated in that. And also, Mr. Meinke was raffled off to provide an ice cream party from the board, and he gets to scoop the ice cream. He was kind of voluntold about that, and with great enthusiasm, he accepted that responsibility, but that made several $100s, so I'm really excited about that, and I think that'll be super fun. I want to see some photos when that comes. Well, and thank you for your ice cream scooping skills there. I'm sure you're going to do an excellent job. And then I was checking the calendar, and I believe the state of the district happened in between our last meeting and this one, or am I? Okay, great. I was like, that feels like that was a very long time ago, but according to my calendar, that has happened in between. So I also just wanted to congratulate you on such a great event. I thought you did an amazing job. Mr. Meinke was able to give what was still a very exciting speech with a bit of a head cold, and so that I thought was just exceptional. And we also had some breakout sessions talking about the bond and the development and some of the high school projects, as well as the K-8 opportunities with that new bond. And as a tie into that, wanted to mention that we have our next town hall meeting discussing the bond and that development on April 14th. And is that Meadows Middle School?
Meadows Cafeteria.
Okay, Meadows Cafeteria, fantastic. And so the community is all welcome to join us for that, and that gives you kind of an update on what we're working on, and as well as an opportunity to provide feedback. So that is it for me.
Thank you. Any other, Ms. Kleber?
Just wanted to provide a quick update on intercouncil. We added as a board a position to have a liaison between our board and intercouncil, and we had our first meeting of 2025. They happened to fall on a lot of cold days and ice days, so we are looking at kind of revamping or improving the structure of that meeting. It's a really awesome group of very involved parents that play a really important role in a lot of our extracurricular events and sports and band and things like that. But we discovered that we have a lot of groups working in silos doing the exact same thing. So we're going to start to look at trying to find more synergies or working more collaboratively together. We probably have 50 different groups in our district that all buy t-shirts from different vendors and things like that. That maybe it's not necessary to have a board member running that, but just having somebody to help lead that charge, I think is going to be really beneficial to that group. So looking forward to playing that role.
Thank you, and thank you for stepping up and doing that. Any other board communication? Mrs. Roney?
First, I went to I've had a busy month. I went to the choir concert. I thought it was the middle school choir concert, because that's how it was billed, but it was the high school too. It was awesome. I mean, I ran into Paul there.
They invite the middle school to come in, it's a pre-festival concert, they invite the middle school to come in so they can experience performing in the auditorium and some of the stuff that the high school choirs do.
Well, it was very good. And then Trustee Kleber was so kind to send me some middle school updates as well. So the middle school swim and dive finished their season yesterday, undefeated. Yay.
Awesome.
Yes, so high school's in good shape. They also won the middle school championship last night, beating out, drum roll, Northville and Brown. Okay. Special thanks to Coach Stark and Frazzo, is it? And then also they're celebrating their wrestling team, and student Mason Alua, who was the Oakland County Wrestling champion last week. And then, of course, our superintendent Micah stole my thunder on the play tomorrow, but also Jamie said that we should celebrate Joseph Green, the assistant auditorium manager and drama club sponsor, who has put in a lot of time on this. So I'm looking forward to that show. And I think that's it, other than I survived the chop little cooking thing. I thought it was wonderful. I was so paranoid because ketchup is like too spicy for me. So I was very worried about this, and the kids all did great. They had a lot of spices, but none that were like, flaming hot. The people that won it all, the Korean chicken with the rice, that was probably the hottest, and really, they barely broke a sweat. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to the next one. I think everyone should come out and see it. It was great. It was absolutely great. And Kim and the Chartwell's team, they actually fed the audience too. So a lot of these kids that were coming from spring practice or whatever, they came through and they're like, oh, food. So they had a treat too as well. I think that's it, other than April 2nd, which I don't think there's anybody in here that signed up for it, the Oakland County School Board dinner meeting. And then we all got our little thing about the Spring Institute, which is on Mackinac Island. Okay, I'm done.
Thank you, Mrs. Rodney. I love all that stuff. Okay. And I love that Mrs. Kleber is putting you in charge of giving announcements. This is really great.
Well, I love it, I mean, I was thrilled. I could talk about the choir concert. She's like, okay, here we go.
Yeah, that's fun.
Awesome.
Mr.
Thank you.
Sitting here quietly waiting for everybody else to talk, but
Yeah.
as both Mr. Micah and Mrs. Roney mentioned, the chopped contest was, I don't know, awesome is the only word that comes to mind.
It was great.
Between the butter chicken lasagna,
Oh, that was great.
some of the other dishes, the Korean fried chicken was, I couldn't choose between them. I had to write something down and put a score down, and then I couldn't compare them, and then it just came out the way it came out. And, you know, Kim and her team and the whole Chartwell crew, they brought in executive chefs for Chartwells from other school districts to help out as sous chefs, to help the kids. Like I say, every grade, 8th grade through 12th grade was represented. And the Kung Pao Pandas, they were in it for blood. They were waiting, and when they were called, I think they hit the roof in there. Unfortunately, it was on Ramadan, so some of the teams had to have a special taster, and some of the cooks could not taste their food as they were preparing it, so their special taster had to let them know how it was going. Choir concert, pre-festival, they did end up going to festival. All choirs got 1 ratings. Including the chorale, which got a perfect score.
Wow.
On both sight reading and the performance. Awkward Pause has had 2 performances. You know, it's some people may not think they know what's going on in there, but it's the whole thing is set up to cause people just to stop and think. And the kids do a wonderful job performing these. Yesterday's performance, the majority of the pieces were written this year by the EXO students. So, and very few were written in the past. So, they're not only just performing, but they're also writing. Last thing I want to mention, I've just found out today, we're going to have an inclusion day sponsored by our special ed department towards the beginning of May. They're still working out the details, and so more details to come on that, but I think it is something that we really need to pay attention to, because a lot of these kids are here and don't necessarily feel included, and I think by celebrating them this way, excuse me, by celebrating this way is just an awesome way, and we'll get that, when that comes out, we will make sure that the word is spread, so. But, that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Cook, and we appreciate all the information that you shared here, and we look forward to hearing more on a few of those items, so. Anybody else? No? Okay. I am not sure, I feel like I didn't get an invitation to Chopped, so I'm a little confused, but I think that I just gathered that these 2 were the judges?
I think we were all invited to be judges,
Oh, we
weren't we?
were?
There were 5 judges. Everybody was invited at this table to be a judge.
I must have missed it, because I would totally be into that eating business.
But we had the food critic from the Detroit Free Press was one of the judges, Nicole Carter, Becca was another one, and then Mrs. Roney and I.
That's so awesome. So I envision that in 5 years, this is gonna be like the hottest event ever. We're gonna have so many people that wanna do it, and it sounds just really amazing.
We think during homecoming week.
Or during
Challenge.
during rivalry week.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good
Yeah,
idea too.
that's it, I'm sorry, rivalry. Yeah.
Awesome. I want to publicly again acknowledge Kim Sinclair. I know we've talked about her and her team a lot, but I really think, like as you could hear tonight, this really innovative idea. And I wasn't there, but I saw pictures. I saw pictures of the students all dressed in their, aprons. I saw pictures of the food. Clearly, the people that were there thought it was like amazing, and I feel like I just missed like the latest gourmet meal in town. But so I really want to acknowledge her. And Chartwells for being such an integral part of our school district. As Betsy mentioned, state of the district, and if anybody was there, they saw hundreds and hundreds of people there who were eating, and I just think it's amazing when you have a group like that who is integrated, and even though they're their own company, that they're so integrated into the school district that they play such an important role, and those are just two examples of how they've really supported the district beyond the classroom. So I think it's pretty amazing.
Just remembered something else about the chop contest that
Oh.
Kim actually limited it at 7, and one team pulled out at the last minute. But the middle schoolers were able to come in and use the same ingredients to create their dish as that team. They joined the contest the night before.
That's pretty awesome.
So
These are some talented kids.
they are very talented.
So,
There
awesome.
were two boys that are best friends, that when they go to each other's house and hang out, their parents said that they cook at the house together.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's kinda cool.
I love that. Yeah.
Maybe they wanna hang out at my house, 'cause I would love to get that picture.
We were asking all the teams that.
I mean, like, honestly, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I think I'm doing something very wrong. My children do not cook for us. That's pretty great.
Exactly.
The team that won, they created their own, like, recipe, and most of these teams made their own sauces. So it wasn't like, I need a jar of Chef Boyardee, you know, I mean, it was like, they made their own stuff.
That's awesome. I see Mr. Mena drooling over there. I know he really likes Korean food. So when you guys were talking about the buttered chicken lasagna, I think he was
Definitely
really
had my name on
yes.
it. Sure.
Yeah, exactly.
It was good too, sorry.
Awesome. Alrighty, if I can get a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting, Mr. Mishner,
Motion to adjourn.
we have support?
Support.
Recommended by Mr. Mishner, supported by Mrs. Roney. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 7-0.